Are you concerned about hand hygiene? Why, it could be yours, your family's, your neighbors, or even the unknown habits of strangers at the supermarket. Well, duh, of course you are. Introducing a revolutionary new approach to healthy hands. Duh! Darwin's Ultimate Hand Hygiene. Proven to keep your hands 99.9% nastiness free, Duh keeps you safer than a duck in, well, duck season. Darwin's Ultimate Hand Hygiene cannot be held liable for the other 0.1% of unknown, uncontrollable, unforeseeable, unpredictable, and quite frankly, annoying habits of strangers. Hello, and welcome to Quebec Art Company presents QACStage Pass. In this month's installment, we present The Visitor. It's the baffling tale of a missing girl who, 7 years after her mysterious disappearance, returns to her hometown, where she is welcomed by friends and family with mixed emotions and veiled motivations. Is she really who she says she is? Well, perhaps we will let you decide.
Ah, what'll you have, mister?
Ham on rye and a cup of coffee, Betty.
Coming right up. Ham on rye and draw one.
Look, kid, I'd like to talk to you.
Yeah, what about?
Have you got a minute?
Yeah, I guess so. What's on your mind, mister?
I've been looking for a long time for someone who looks like you.
Yeah?
Your name could be Betty Owen, couldn't it?
Well, why should it? They call me Brenda Duncan around here.
That's not what I asked.
So?
Well, I'm looking for a girl named Betty Owen.
For what?
Disappeared from her home about 7 years ago. Girl from my town. She'd be about your age now. About 20?
21.
Well, that'll do. Well, her folks have just been worried sick about her. Everyone else gave her up for dead, and then I heard you were working here, Betty.
Yeah? Who told you?
No one told me. I got a note. Anonymous. You didn't write it, did you?
No, no, I didn't write it.
You know, I think I'd recognize you anyway. You're a lot taller, of course, and you look older, Betty.
Well, anyone would, wouldn't they?
Same ears, though.
Yeah, I call them wings.
That's a good one. Well, you remember who I am, of course. Mac Burrell. Used to be chief of police.
Pleased to meet you again, Mr. Burrell.
Well, Betty Owen. A lot of you and a lot of know-it-alls are sure going to be surprised.
Surprised at what?
Why, to see you. The folks of Hatley are certain to a man that you were drowned 7 years ago off White's Pier, and when they see you, boy, I can't wait.
I was drowned, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, look, Mr. Burrell, just what is your proposition?
Well, Betty, I want you to come home again with me.
Oh.
Of course, things have changed some in Hatley in 7 years, but not too much. And if you take it easy and if you have a friend to help you over the rough spots, well, you'll feel right back at home in no time.
I see.
Working in a diner. Why, you're depriving yourself of everything a girl could want. A good home, fine dresses, lovely parents, wealthy parents.
Yeah, well, you make it sound kind of nice at that, Mr. Burrell. What about you?
Why, Betty, didn't you know that your father has offered a $10,000 reward for anyone who finds you?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, sorry, not your father, your stepfather. Your stepfather has offered $10,000. Don't you think you ought to come home?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what's in it for me?
Well, think of your folks. Think how your poor mother has suffered. Think how happy it'd make him.
Uh-huh. Well, Mr. Burrell, if you really think it'll be for the best for me to come home.
Why, sure it will. Might be a little tough at first, all the excitement, people staring at you, but that won't last long. Well, you got to expect some excitement.
Yeah, I suppose it was an event, having a hometown girl drowned.
Drown? Why, they thought you were murdered. We talked for an hour or so, had the whole thing figured out pretty darn good. We took the 5 o'clock train for Hatley, and on the way I gave her the lowdown on what had been going on in the town for 7 years, how the town thought it was murder, and how her mother and David Cunningham, her stepfather, just wouldn't give up hope that she was still alive. I gave Betty Owen all the details that she needed. Well, brace yourself, youngster. This is it. Just remember everything I told you.
Yeah, sure. I'm okay, Mr. Burrell.
Is that you, Burrell?
Yeah, look who's with me.
Oh, Eddie.
Hello, Father.
Come in, Betty. Come in. Here, let me take your suitcase. Here's your mother, Betty.
Oh, Betty! Oh, Betty!
Oh, hello, Mother.
Judith, this time it's really Betty. She's come back to us.
Oh, Betty!
It's all right, darling. It's all right now.
My baby girl! You're so tall.
Come, Judith, let's go into the living room. Come along, girl.
Yes.
I always knew I'd be silly when you came back. I just can't believe it. Oh my, your hair. Just look at you, my Betty.
Gosh, I wouldn't have recognized this room. Isn't the couch new?
Yes, and the rugs and the drapes.
The drapes, yeah.
You don't know how we'll ever be able to thank you, Burrell.
Oh, why, seeing Judith so happy is a reward enough.
Oh, yes. That reminds me. Well, drop by my office tomorrow, and I'll take care of that more tangible reward.
Oh, Betty, you can't imagine how terribly we've missed you.
Oh,
After
well,
all these...
Mother, I don't know how to begin. I mean, how sorry I am.
Oh, no, don't tell me anything, darling. Nothing matters now, except that you're back. Well, we'll have plenty of time to talk and catch up.
That's the spirit, Judith. That's the spirit.
Goodness, your right hand, Betty. Oh, it's all bandaged.
Oh, that's nothing much. I burned it working at the diner. It's nothing really.
Oh, darling.
Well, folks, it's been a long day for an old man. I guess I'll run along now.
Right away, Mr. Burrell. You just got here.
Well, you'll be seeing plenty of me, Betty. Right now, you should be wanting to get acquainted with your folks again. And I'll see you tomorrow, Dave.
Yes, of course. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Burrell.
Well, there's so much to get caught up on, isn't there?
Why, yes. We'll have plenty of time to talk later, David. Oh, how you've grown.
Well, it's been 7 years.
Gosh.
Yeah, well...
Well, I guess I must look different.
Wouldn't have recognized you if I passed you in the street.
Well, Betty most certainly would have recognized you. You haven't aged a bit. Isn't that right, Betty?
Well, yes, of course.
Well, of course, seeing as she's really our Betty, she would have recognized me. However, deducting to the Swan is a little harder.
Now, please, David. I don't think that's funny.
Well, I can't help it.
Oh, why, that must be Ellen. Isn't that nice?
Cunningham, it's me.
Come in, Ellen. We're in the living room. We have such a surprise.
Ellen Woods?
Why, who else, Betty?
Does she still live next door?
Of course. The Woods have always lived there.
Oh, my word. Betty? Oh, this is simply fabulous. Oh, I can't believe it's you.
Well, that seems to be the general feeling.
Oh, Betty, you're so skinny. A regular beanpole. Oh, I can't wait for Joe to see you.
Joe?
Well, I called him just as soon as I heard. He's coming over here now. Oh, I hope that's all right, Mrs. Cunningham.
Oh, of course, Ellen.
Sure.
I'd forgotten. It'll mean so much to Joe. You know about Joe, Betty?
Oh, yes, Mr. Burrell told me. I didn't know before.
I've got a lot to make up to that young man.
My folks wouldn't let me see Joe, Betty.
Yeah?
Well, naturally, they thought that, after all, Joe was the last person who saw you, and then, well, he admitted the two of you quarreled.
But there was never any proof, of course, because, well, there was no body found.
But the town still cast blame on poor old Joe.
But Mother and I never had a moment's doubt.
Oh, no.
And I'm thankful for that.
And no wonder they never found your body. But gosh, Betty, where have you been?
Oh, I don't remember real clear.
Oh, I'm sure everything will come back.
Oh, there! That's Joe! That's Joe now! Joe, we're in the living room!
Ellen phoned. I ran all the way. She said that.
It's really Betty, Joe!
Yeah, Joe. It's me.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Well, pal, I hear I owe you an apology or something.
Skip it, pal.
Now, Joe, we know it's been hard on you. Only it's over.
It doesn't matter, Mrs. Cunningham. I've learned to put up with a lot.
Judith, dear, let's go upstairs. Let's give the young folks a chance to be by themselves.
Oh, all right, David. But don't sit too long, Betty.
No.
I won't, Mother.
You'll need lots of sleep.
And don't forget to turn off the lights.
Okay.
Good night.
Well, what'll we do? Cut a rug or chew the fat?
Shoot yourself.
Joe, don't talk that way to Betty. You might remember she's my best friend, and she certainly was yours.
Yeah, I guess she was.
No, look, Joe. I can see you're sore at me, but don't take it out on Ellen.
Kindly don't start a bit messing between Ellen and me.
Joe, please.
Okay. Do I have to make a speech? So you're home now, Betty, and I'm the last one to kick. But when you toss it all off by saying you owe me an apology or something, well, maybe it's not easy to remember we're friends.
Well, I didn't know what to say.
Well, I know I tried to remember we were friends when the whole town was sure I'd killed you, even though that could never be proven. And I tried to remember it when the draft board listed me as undesirable because they thought I was guilty.
Yeah, but come on.
I even tried to remember we're friends when, for 7 years, people crossed the street so they wouldn't have to speak to me. And people got up and walked out of the room when I came in. And when...
Oh gosh, Joe, I didn't realize that. I am sorry, honest. You gotta understand.
Joe, you should be the first one to walk around town with Betty right tomorrow morning. That'll knock some sense into everyone that snubbed you for 7 years.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I mean, if it's all right with you, Betty.
Oh, is it? Boy, I'm gonna need some company.
Then it's a date, huh?
No kidding, Betty. I'm glad you're home. I'm glad you're okay. No hard feelings?
Oh, gosh, no, Joe.
Well, so long, Betty. See you tomorrow morning?
Bye, Betty.
So long.
It seemed like Joe wasn't buying that this was really Betty. I'd have to be careful and do everything I could to help tomorrow. Oh, this wasn't going to be as easy as we thought. But then again, nothing worth it ever was it?
Betty,
Yes, Mother?
are you coming up to bed now, dear?
Yeah, might as well.
We left your room exactly the same. I imagine you'll find it a bit girlish now.
Oh, that's all right, Mother. Thank you.
You haven't asked about Trixie.
Trixie?
Why, yes. I'm surprised she wasn't the first thing that you asked about. You didn't even mention her.
Oh, Trixie. That's right. I didn't.
After all, she was your dog.
Well, it's all so much to take in. How is Trixie?
Poor thing. When you didn't come back, she just wandered off.
Oh, gee, that's tough. All right.
You didn't even ask about her. Oh, but I guess you can't be expected to remember everything. Good night, dear.
No, I guess I can't remember everything.
Everything seemed to have gone all right so far. Things were finally falling into place nicely. Tomorrow would come soon enough, and Betty would have a lot to deal with. It must be so hard trying to remember everything.
Gosh, I guess I'm kind of late for breakfast.
Oh, that's all right, darling. We know you needed the sleep.
Right in your old place.
Yeah, sure.
Your mother and I have been mooning over old pictures.
Yes, really, Betty. Except for the ears and something around the eyes. You've changed so much that I can hardly recognize you.
Yeah.
Now, look, this is the last picture of you when you went away. It's almost frightening how much you've grown.
Oh, darling, you wouldn't want the girl to be a midget, would you?
Well, no.
Sure, she's taller, but look at her nose and the way she stands.
Yeah, sure was goofy. Oh, you should have been glad to get rid of me.
Oh, no.
Oh, and look, Betty, look what else we found. So there,
What?
well, all your school compositions from the first grade on. Here's one you wrote on Alexander the Great.
Ouch, Mother. Don't be so careless with those things or I'll die of blushing.
Why, Betty, I think this was very good for your age. You were barely 14 when you wrote it. And it's marked B, so it can't be too terrible.
Your least little scribble was always a great comfort, dear mother.
Oh, of course.
Well, I better get off to work. Drop by and see me if you have time.
Oh, why, sure, Father, I'll do that.
Good. Goodbye. Judith, darling, I'll be home for dinner.
Goodbye, David. How about some hot coffee, Betty?
Oh, no, thanks.
Did you sleep well, Snooky?
Yes, thank you, Mother. I almost forgot you called me,
Snooky? I guess you're a little too old for that now.
Yeah.
Betty, there's something important that I want to discuss with you. It's about my will.
Your will?
You know how your father, well, David, is about my money. He never wanted to touch it or even have me put him in my will. He's so proud about things like that, and I do have so much more than he ever will.
Well, sure, I remember. How much money is it anyway?
Oh, you remember, there's the $150,000 that your grandfather left.
Yeah, right.
And there were the 3 houses on Elm Street that Aunt Caroline left, and the income from them. I haven't even used any of it. So it amounts to quite a lot by now.
Gosh, yes, it must at that.
Well, after you left, and after the first few years of waiting, well, I hoped you'd come back, of course, but I needed to put my things in order.
Why, of course, Mother. After all, you thought I was dead, right?
Oh, no, we kept looking, hoping, but I couldn't leave my estate to a missing person, even though David didn't want me to. I changed my will, leaving everything to him.
Why, sure, that sounds fine to me.
Well, yes, but now you're here, you're back. I think the best thing would be to just turn it all over to you now. Set up a trust fund. You could use the income to go to college, and later maybe you'll want to set yourself up a business of some kind. And I know it'll please David.
But Mother, well, gee whiz, it's swell of you, but don't you think you should wait?
Wait for what, dear?
Well, until you know me better.
What?
Well, I mean, gosh, I wouldn't know what to do with all that money, and I'd mess things up.
Silly. The bank takes care of everything. It always has for me. Now, all you have to do is sign these papers right here.
Oh, sign, but I can't, Mother. You see my hand, the bandage.
Oh, isn't that a shame? I forgot you couldn't write.
I ought to be all right in a couple of days so I can take the bandage off.
Oh, somebody's whistling for you, Betty. My, that sounds just like old times.
Oh, it's Ellen and Joe. They're going to take me out and show me around the town. I guess I'll have to face the music.
You're going to be just fine. You're going to be a regular hero.
Yeah, but I don't feel much like a hero now.
Well, here we go. Wait until people see your bag, Betty. You're a real hero.
Hey, Betty Owen, wait.
Now you're in for it, Betty.
Oh, Betty, you're really real, and you've grown but divine.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks.
Oh, I've been telling everybody you're back. It's too sensational. It's like having a new girl in town. And boy, we could sure use some of those.
Well, gosh, I shouldn't think you'd have any trouble. Why, you're cuter than ever.
Well, listen to her. She's got a line. Gee, she sends me. Isn't that something?
Betty, the best thing you ever called him was buzzard egg.
Well, gosh, I called him something besides that once in a while.
Oh, you did call him Marty.
Well, of course I called him that. Gee, it's swell to see you, Marty. Boy, 7 years. People have changed a lot.
Don't worry. That's why Joe and I are here. You can't be expected to remember everyone, especially not buzzard egg.
Yeah, buzzard egg. That's a good one.
Remember, we used to make fun of him all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Betty Owen, you bad girl.
Oh, gee, it's good to see ya. How are you anyway?
Well, you're not too grown up to You're not too grown up to kiss old Mrs. Callahan the way you used to.
Oh, I'll say I'm not, Mrs. Callahan. Here.
Why, oh well, that's all right. I've heated enough of your bottles and washed enough of your diapers, so don't let me catch you putting on airs.
No, ma'am. I won't.
Well, goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
What's the matter? Didn't you recognize her?
Oh, Mrs. Callahan. Of course I did.
Well, then why didn't you call her what you always used to? Couldn't you see she was sore?
Well, yes, I did.
Betty, you used to call her Aunt Silly.
Well, I couldn't believe it, but I don't refute the evidence of my senses. It's that Owen girl, Betty Owen.
Why, I'm glad to see you, sir.
I just saw your mother, heard you were back. She told me she was bringing you to my office in a day or two.
Ah, yes, she told me.
Your mother is 1 in a million, young lady. She thinks only of your welfare. I hope you've learned to appreciate her.
Oh, yes, sir, I have.
Well, I just wanted to check on the news. And no nonsense, girl. You do as your mother says.
Yeah. Bye. What did you mean, no nonsense?
Well, don't you know?
Well, yeah, I guess so. Well, Mother told me this morning that we had to go into the lawyer's office.
Oh, Betty.
Aha! I've been waiting for you to outsmart yourself. And this is it.
Well, I don't get it.
You sure don't, Betty.
Oh, give her a chance, Joe.
Because it happens that's not Mr. Reedy the lawyer, but Dr. Sterling the dentist. Betty talked fast and Ellen took her side. They tried to calm me down, but I was going to watch you like a hawk from then on. That afternoon, Mr. Cunningham offered to take us down to the beach to celebrate Betty's homecoming. It was a pretty hot day, so we made a beeline for the water, but Betty didn't because of her bandaged hand. She stayed around the beach house near the pool. After a seafood supper, we all walked out onto the pier, the same pier where Betty was supposed to have been murdered.
It's like taking the body back to where X marks the spot.
Oh, Betty. Really
Sorry.
now? Gee, isn't it heavenly out here?
Yeah. Oh, gee, the breeze is swell.
Well, Betty, it looks like you and Joe are right back where you were 7 years ago.
Yes, I guess so, Father.
And you really can't remember anything after you quarreled.
Nope, I really can't.
Oh, this railing's just where it stood, isn't it? When you and I had our fight?
Yes, about.
Hey, what's the phobia people have looking down from tall buildings? Gee, I get it looking down at the water from up here.
Oh, well, that shouldn't worry you, Ellen. You swim like a fish. Now me, I should really feel funny.
Well, are you ready to go home now? I don't want Judith to worry.
Yeah, all right, Mr. Cunningham.
Oh, it's been such a heavenly day.
Betty, wait a minute.
Oh, come on, Joe.
No, wait a minute. There are a couple things I want to say.
Oh, look, now. Later, Joe. Ellen and Father.
It'll only take a minute. First, about your not being able to swim.
But Joe, you knew that about me. I never learned. That was why I...
Sure. Everybody knew Betty Owen couldn't swim. That was why when he disappeared, they thought I'd push you off the pier and you drowned.
Now, Joe, I don't get it. Can't you let bygones be bygones?
Betty Owen couldn't swim. But this afternoon, when you thought we were all at a good safe distance, I walked out to the beach club looking for you, and I saw you swimming in the pool.
Yeah, but I learned after.
And your band was off. Well, start talking. Or do I do the talking to the cops?
Now, listen, Joe, you gotta wait. You gotta give me time.
Now, don't get me wrong. No one else in this town should be gladder to have Betty Owen come back than me. After all, I've taken plenty because she disappeared. But rather than let Mrs. Cunningham be fooled...
No, well, that's what I mean, Joe. You gotta give me time to square things. Just a little time.
Well, you better move fast, sister.
Now, Joe, no matter what you think you know, I haven't hurt anybody.
Not yet.
And if you give me time, maybe nobody will be hurt.
Betty came to see me the next morning and talked about everything, about how people were making cracks about the $10,000 reward and the whole mess. She felt things were moving too fast and needed my help, so we discussed our options and came up with a plan. That night, I had my car parked in front of Ellen's house waiting. I knew Betty was scared.
How's Mother feeling?
Well, she complained she was awfully tired, so I saw her to bed.
I guess this is all a bit too much to take in.
She's always been a little delicate.
I guess I must take after her then.
I highly doubt that. By the way, what is your real name?
Betty Owen?
You don't need to be afraid of you. I've protected you so far.
Why have you?
I asked you first, what is your real name?
Betty Owen.
You're stubborn, aren't you? You know, at first I thought you came up with this whole scheme by yourself, or maybe with Burl, but there's someone else involved, isn't there?
Who do you think?
What about that bandage?
Well,
Take it off. Well, not even a scar. I don't suppose you'd mind writing with it now that it's healed.
no, I don't mind. What shall I write?
Well, suppose we take this little composition of yours on Alexander the Great. Here. Would you copy this sentence from the top of page 3?
Mm-hmm.
And to make it a fair comparison, write your name, Betty Owen.
Betty Owen. Well, here you are.
So she taught you her handwriting as well.
Who did?
My wife. Do you think I don't know what's going on? Every move she made gave her away.
Gave her away?
I think a rush to change her will.
I don't know what you mean. I don't know
She was
why.
being so smart, trying to pass you off, trying to trap me. I was the one person who knew. You weren't Betty.
Yeah? What makes you so sure I'm not Betty?
I know. Isn't that enough? I know.
I see. Well, don't you think we'd better get my mother in on this little conversation?
Yes, I think we'd better. Well, she's asleep. You'll have to wake her.
Mother? Mother? Wait, she's... Mother! Mother! Where's my mother?
She's all right, Betty. Everything's okay. She's in the hospital. She's going to be fine.
Oh, what happened? I can't remember. Mother...
That rotter. Why, he gave you enough sleeping pills to kill a horse.
but she's all right now. She's going to be fine.
How do you feel, Betty?
All right, I guess. Oh boy, my head sure hurts. What happened?
That stinker. He hit you over the head with a lamp.
No, it's a good thing you had us standing by tonight, Betty. You were right. Your stepfather never expected you, the real Betty, to return.
Why, he had you trussed up like a turkey. He was going to hang you, the louse.
Gee, Mr. Burrell, he must have been crazy. I guess he wanted to get us both out of the way before Mother could change that will.
It would appear that way now, wouldn't it?
We got to you just in time. Thank goodness we had everything planned.
Oh, for crying out loud, Betty. Why didn't you let me in on this? I thought we were friends.
Oh, well, gee, I hated to do it, Joe, honest, but I had to. Somebody had to be the guinea pig.
It was my idea, Joe. I sent the note to Mr. Burrell. I really found Betty in that diner.
Yeah, but if you let me know, I could have really helped.
Oh, but you did, Joe. We knew that if Betty could fool you, well, if you thought she was a phony, then she could fool everybody, even David Cunningham.
Yeah. You see, Joe, it's like this. For 7 years, I suspected that guy. He pushed me off the pier that night when I was only a kid, but I knew I was just a kid, and it was his word against mine, so I ran away. I kept putting off coming back here, but swore that someday I would. I'd trap him, and, well, tonight, I did. What with the help of Mr. Burrell and Ellen, I knew I could do it.
Well, gee, I guess being worth $10,000 can give anyone enough courage. But how did you know you could trap him?
Because all we needed was for him to say he knew I wasn't Betty Owen. That proved that he thought he'd really killed me that night on the pier.
You took one whale of a chance tonight, Betty.
I did everything just the way you told me, Mr. Burrell.
Me too.
He had you framed pretty. Another half hour and we'd have found your mother dead, you strung up, and that suicide note you wrote propped up on the dresser.
Suicide note? I just copied a sentence out of an old composition. Something about Alexander the Great.
Alexander the Great?
Now listen to this. It is terrible what awful crimes are done for greed and ambition. Signed, Betty Owen.
Ah, sure. Well, you see, I was right. Wait, what? I signed that? Holy.
Yeah, we wouldn't want this getting into the wrong hands now, would we?
No, sir. So, you say Mrs. Cunningham is going to be all right?
Oh, it's touch and go, Joe.
Are you concerned about hand hygiene? Why, it could be yours, your family's, your neighbors, or even the unknown habits of strangers at the supermarket. Well, duh, of course you are. Introducing a revolutionary new approach to healthy hands. Duh! Darwin's Ultimate Hand Hygiene. Proven to keep your hands 99.9% nastiness free, Duh keeps you safer than a duck in, well, duck season. Darwin's ultimate hand hygiene cannot be held liable for the other 0.1% of unknown, uncontrollable, unforeseeable, unpredictable, and quite frankly, annoying habits of strangers.